6 a.m. Leaving home.
Fucking Americans.
You know, I love this feeling. Smell of the road in the morning. Color of the dust
Pepsi
cloud
cans.
behind my trail.
And Hot Pockets.
The deep voice of the mighty beast I'm driving.
Ma!
All that weight and responsibility I got hanging behind me.
Homework. Exam.
This is what we are.
Virgins.
What you are.
American. Fuck you.
It's sunny side up on the shaky side.
Damn, Morgan, buddy.
Easy over in Dago. Get yourself an omelet in Bay City. It's all scrambled in neon in Dice City. Huevos Rancheros in Los Angeles. Catch you on the flip-flop. You got a copy? Still on the road? I'm lost in the city of angels. Still on the road?
Damn straight. My life sucks.
Thousands of deliveries. Millions of tons. Every day, night, rain or shine.
Oh.
I tell you something. We must not stop. We must not slow down.
We must not slow down. American way. Alright, come on. I want to actually see in-game footage of this game. How much of a joke is this truck? American truck simulator gameplay. Like, how bad it... Oh my god, this is like a game that I used to play in college, Need for Speed. You used to deck out your own...
Based off the Euro Truck Simulator, and that was such a massive success. But now we're set in America, Los Angeles, California. We're about to set up our company. This is our company, Game Right Limited. That apparently is me in the top corner. Yeah, it looks exactly like me. Not. Right, so, cabin adjustments, I've just seen that. But as far as I know, all the graphics are set to ultra amazingness. I've only got full HD, which is 1080p. But everything's set to high and ultra, so that's good. Good.
Okay.
I like it. I'm using a control at the moment. I might switch to a wheel if you guys want to see that.
Oh, where's your,
Or we could turn this into like a full let's play. If you guys want to do that, we could do that. That'd be cool. I love the original game, the Euro Truck Simulator. It was addictive and a lot of fun. It's quite relaxing actually.
Peterbilt.
But I imagine this might be a little bit more intense. I don't know. Right, let's go out for a drive. Let's go.
Let's go out for a drive.
That's my red truck, by the way. That's mine. Not yours, it's mine.
I used to ride a
Right,
fire
so,
truck. I mean, that wheel
are we loaded up? I
huge.
think we are.
It was like this. And I had to
Oh
turn
man,
that
I can't
tanker.
move.
I
Aha!
had to do
Oh my god, that's what we're
big
carrying.
turns on that thing.
Dear Lord, that's a lot of stuff. It's only tubes though, so there's nothing really that
Small,
important. But
again,
yeah,
it's a fucking
I should
motor.
probably look either way, but I'm being lazy. Oh, hello.
Don't hit somebody. Wait,
Right, I've
wait.
still got some more controls to edit. Man, this takes me ages to set up. Because I'm using obviously a controller, it doesn't like it too much.
Okay.
So, if I go into controls, I want to be able to look. How do I look? There we go. Look up and down axes. I want my controller to do that. There you go. And I want my
joystick, really?
controller to do that as well. That should hopefully work. It's got a tiny bit of dead zone as well. So we can look around with the controller, accelerate, brake,
See, if I was
change the
really,
view.
if there were, like,
I think I'm finally
really
done.
more racing car
That took me
games,
so long to set up.
I'd buy the whole
Right, we good?
kit for it.
Yes, I can look around.
Get that immersion feel, but
This is so cool. I'm in LA, driving a truck. Yes.
that's what LA looks like, really?
My life is complete. I'm done. I can retire happy. I will be a happy. Oh, is that a cop? Is that a cop? Oh man, we could go GTA style on that guy. Just ram him off the road.
Peterbilt.
Could be in the news and everything.
This guy's
This
driving.
game doesn't look good though.
Come on,
It's
man.
really good.
You're not a really good truck driver.
Right, so where are we going to? Oh, we're actually quite close.
Come on, man.
I think
You're
I've
not-
got indicators
are you
on.
even going the
Oh, I
speed
do. I've got them set on the controller.
35
Oh
miles
yes,
an hour.
left
What's the speed limit
bumper.
around here?
I'm indicating.
Okay,
Is it
what's
here?
the speed limit? Because I'm going to get mad. if
Probably
this
change my
guy's-
view right now.
Now he's going
Oh, it's right there. I've gone past it a little bit. Oh man, ambulance! I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you up. Almost. See some people in the background as well.
Probably want you to pull in that
Oh,
way.
press the following key to handle job delivery.
Enter.
Why
Hit your
not?
enter
Go
key.
for it. Oh, I got to try and park it now. What? Uh-oh. Right, so we get 40 XP for doing it perfect.
Ah,
I will try it, I guess.
that's
Oh man.
what they want it back.
I'll try and
right
land
there,
it in
yep.
there. Oh god.
That's easy. You go
Guys,
this
look
way.
and learn. Actually, if I go round,
No, dude.
I go round this way, go past it, and then just reverse back. Would that not be easier?
You're gonna get stuck right in here.
Careful. I can actually skip parking if I want to. I'm not going to give up. I am a determined young man right now. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
What
like
have I hit? I hit that.
$1,000
It's like a
worth of
slight.
damage right there in your
Oh,
car.
it's like a slight bump in the surface. Oops.
I mean,
Oh
yeah.
man, I'm so close to this cabin.
Yeah.
Some guy's probably in that toilet
So
thinking,
close.
what is the
Dude,
fuck is this guy doing?
You just fucked up your finish.
Somehow yank it around a
This
bit.
guy's drunk.
Right, am I making
Alright, that's a
progress?
little bit better.
Sort
Yeah,
of.
now you just ran over his nose.
Right, will this be good enough? I don't know. I'm gonna give it a good go though. Oh, is this it? Almost done.
you got it.
Reversing a little bit more. I think that might count. Just can I detach it? It's in the green bit.
So wait, now you're gonna go
I've
to
done it.
the bar?
I think I've done it. Excellent. Yes, I did do it. Yes.
Miles,
8 XP.
Well, that's
I
kinda
will
cool,
take
decent
that.
thing, but
Did I do the good parking or did that take me too long? I don't know.
it took too long.
That took me
Well,
so
hey, you
long.
got-
Let's
you
take
got
out.
it in there, man.
I'm getting so much of that out. You have no idea. That's my headquarters. It was a bit of a dump. Hopefully we can
Well,
upgrade it and stuff
maybe
like
over a
that.
period of
It's a
time,
pretty
you
basic garage.
Reinvest in your
It's a good start.
company.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't got anything to park there yet. Okay, there's no truck in sight. Once you've earned enough
You got a
money,
whole building right there.
for a
You
truck,
got
you'll
no
be able
place
to move into the world freely and run your own business. Oh, so we don't have our own business yet.
Oh.
We will eventually. So to try and do some more
Dude,
jobs.
This garage looks a lot
Right,
nicer
the job
in here
market.
than out
Give
there.
me a job.
Just saying.
I'd like some decent amount of money. So I'm looking for like the best. Like I guess this is the first one, isn't it? Should we go for this top one? Why not? Oh, I think I clicked it. We're doing it. No options now. Home accessories. Ooh, so stuff like table chairs, kitchen services, all that sort of stuff. Do we have it on a? We have it. Have I got? I haven't got enough dead zone, have I?
I
My
saw this
steering.
game on Steam.
Oh, that's okay actually.
Or Hundle
I
Bundle.
don't know. Right, let's go.
And
Right, let's
was
switch
just
the view
kinda
up a little bit.
curious to see,
So I know where the hell I'm going. Right, this time I'm gonna try and do it a little bit quicker this time. The parking is always the problem. To be honest, I always screw it up. Works, I guess. So we're going to be turning left, I believe.
I mean, granted,
Oh, my wipers are on.
being a truck driver,
Why are my wipers on for?
no way is easy.
When did I turn
especially
those on?
those things. And
Oh, I think. Oh, it's up on the
first you
D-pad.
gotta back up,
I think I
and
turned them off
some
now.
of them
Right,
really
hotel
ones, they
holiday.
get right in there,
We're
like,
turning
no
left here.
Issues, you know.
What light is it? Is it? Oh, it's red. Okay, right. Where do you put, this is not GTA, Scott.
What?
You can't just.
Well,
This is
there's
so
no-
cool though.
it says
This
you
feels like
can't-
LA.
Well, I didn't say a sign that says
Right,
you
the
can't
fuel
turn.
is not looking too
Yeah.
bad. Oh, let's go. Go! Come on, Laurie. Full steam ahead. It is weird how you have like no hands. Oh shit. I'm driving on the wrong side. Am I driving on the wrong side?
You drunk bastard.
You absolute twat. I was driving on the wrong
you don't
side.
Say that?
You can tell I come from the UK. My god. Right, currently this is running at 42 frames a second, so if it seems a little bit laggy, I do
Alright.
apologise. 43
That game,
44
man.
frames.
Alright, let's see what this is. The biggest MMO failures.
Everything is all good and dandy when you're at the peak of your success, but that only comes once. So how is it during the dark and gloomy times? Want to learn what has caused some of the largest companies to lose a large mass of players due to some unfortunate changes, whether it's through the means of new items in the cash shop that could create an unfair advantage, or changes to gameplay aspects affecting the original integrity of how the game was made.
Dude,
These
you
MMOs
should
have seen
buy
some brighter
something in a
days
game
and
that
were some of the
gives
most
you an
hyped throughout
unfair
MMO
advantage.
history, but due to either the lack of motivation to listen to their community or trying to seize the
there's like
opportunity
80
to
companies
milk their
starting
game
out
for as much as they could,
pre-launch.
these MMOs have seen their downfalls. If you do not agree with me on the listing of these MMOs, then let me know what you think should fit on this list according to the largest downfalls in MMO history. Without further
never
ado,
even
let's
seen
hop
any of
onto
these
the imaginary flying car and swerve into the past to look at these disasters in the making.
Top 5 largest MMO failures.
Arcade, an MMO with very good core mechanics, and it does have some pretty interesting aspects, except sometimes publishing companies can take control way too far. They abuse it to give players items that create an advantage for those who purchase them. Like many free-to-play games nowadays, without subscribing, you're at a pretty big disadvantage because of the benefits a subscription gives you, along with the problems that are in the cash op, such as the $100 hot tub, and being hurt by not actually being a subscriber built up a lot of rage and backlash to the point where Arcade's community was pretty much torn. Arcade built up hype, yet it destroyed itself because of Tryon getting carried away, ultimately resulting in a large drop in player base after entering into open beta. You would think that companies wouldn't let their games become as potent as Arcade had become, yet we still see it happen to this day. It is a shame that good games go to waste because of some greedy people. Age of Conan. Years ago, publishers would often rush their releases, trying to gather friends from other poorly released titles, hoping that they can swoop up a larger player base. Age of Conan released way too early for its own good, so instead of releasing with a well-polished title, and after releasing bug-filled and poorly optimized, many were turned away from the game very early into the game's lifespan. It has survived up to this day, but not without a lot of changes and tweaks to combat the bugs and optimization failure. Age of Conan built up its hype right around the same time that Warhammer released, as well as Wrath of the Lich King, yet made a huge mistake by releasing way too early, similar to how Warhammer's fate served itself. Age of Conan presented a nice pace for the first 20 levels, but after that the gameplay kind of fell off, and endgame was almost non-existent, pretty much leaving the players without a whole lot to do, resulting in the drop-off of a lot of players to where today it has developed a little bit more, but really it won't be able to get as many players as it once could have. EverQuest Next. Does it get worse than being one of the most hype MMOs and then suddenly being cancelled to never see the light of day? EverQuest Next infamous story begins almost the same way that it started, as pretty much nothing, which is upsetting for a lot of MMOers because it was introducing some pretty exciting features, something such as fully destructible environments in an aspect that creates for more diverse PvP, because it throws in the possibility for random events such as trees falling down that you would also have to take and consider for, or possibly choosing to escape from an enemy by using the terrain around you, along with giving the players the ability to diverge into the storylines of other EverQuest games. It was looking like it could shape up to be one of the more major MMOs in its time. But unfortunately, on March 11th of 2016, Daybreak, who was developing the game, canceled the development saying, and I quote, "As we put together the pieces, we found that it just wasn't fun," end quote. It's a sad sight to see a game be canceled before it even releases, but it's better than not to waste more money in the long haul developing. This story is another one that is part of the major failures of MMO history. Warhammer Online, a game plagued by the oh so poisonous bugs. Warhammer built up its hype as it was gearing for a release, and unfortunately it came right around the corner from what is known now as WoW's biggest and the peak expansion, which really hurt them. But it wasn't just World of Warcraft that hurt them, it was their own lack of development that truly destroyed the game. As someone who fell in love with the atmosphere and the dreary environments, it saddened me to see how poorly the game became because of how much the bugs affected it, to the point where for many it was unbearably too much, and after a few months, the game's population dropped extensively. Although it had the IP and built up a good amount of hype, its development suffered because EA was pushing for an earlier release instead of letting the development take place to fix all of the bugs. Warhammer Online had some of the largest hype for an MMO, as well as it was one of the largest disappointments for an MMO release in all of history. Black Desert, a beautifully aesthetic game that drew in many of the same players that were hyped for Arcade and more, yet it faced the same problem that Arcade faced. Publishers ruining the game environment due to their greed is unfortunately upsetting, especially in this case when Black Desert had a whole lot of potential to be very, very great until the publisher slowly implemented an item by item to create a pay to win or pay to get an advantage, just like Arcade. Now, if you do not subscribe, or in Black Desert's case, buy the monthly items each month that they are available, you are at a large disadvantage. Black Desert's downfall is another of many for the Eastern MMOs that we can call quote-unquote westernized, and for many, it was their last straw, alas pushing many away from the genre for a good amount of time. Black Desert offered more than just entertaining gameplay. It also offered having to maneuver laborers to the max of your potential, which was really essential. It also let you, work your skills the way you want to create cool combos to make the combat very refreshing. It's upsetting to lose another game, yet in this case, I would say a stronger game than what Arcade could have been to when it boils down to core mechanics and potential, yet totally lost their fan base due to a very unsettling few mistakes by Kakao. I'm curious, if you played Black Desert, let me know if you are still playing, and if you aren't, then please let me know why you were turned off by anything Black Desert. Alright, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, let me know which games you were ultimately failed.
There have been countless MMOs that have been released in the past, and many MMOs that were successful back in the day are now husks of their former self. In this video, we'll be going over 5 MMOs that are dead and really have seen a fall from grace or have just failed from the beginning. As MMOs are so expensive to make for game publishers, it really is a risky move to invest in an MMO these days. Number 1 on our list is Final Fantasy XIV Online. Now you may be asking, why is this on the list? Doesn't this have a large player base and isn't it doing pretty well? Well yes, Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn is doing very well. It is the second most popular MMO next to World of Warcraft. However, this is not the game I am talking about. In fact, when this game initially got launched, it was a completely different game, and many people refer to Final Fantasy XIV as Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 and 2.0. 2.0 being A Realm Reborn, which is the successful MMO that we know of today. However, the 1.0 version was one of the worst MMOs that ever got released. It was such a flop that it literally had a funeral for the game. That is how dead this game was. The developer Square Enix saw this was a huge problem and they wanted to correct this, and they didn't want to give up just yet, so they created a revamped version of the game that basically wiped the slate clean and completely remade the game, and it actually turned out pretty well for them, as they have the second most successful MMO next to World of Warcraft. But my god, Final Fantasy XIV, the original version, was absolute garbage. It had some of the most boring combat you can ever imagine.
You have to wait for, let's say, an asshole to press this button, so you will get a pizza and come back?
It had the slow, methodical combat of Final Fantasy XI, but lacked the challenge of that game. It's one thing having slow combat as long as the combat is challenging, but if the combat isn't even challenging, it's just boring. I remember playing this game during its launch, and I was completely bored by the entire experience. Aside from the boring combat, it also had really lazy terrain and copy and pasted assets into the world environment very often. For example, you would see one mountain outcrop, and then you would see the exact same mountain outcrop, but 4 times in the same location. They basically just cut loads of corners when it came to the art design. Even the story was boring. The story had so much dialogue, just endless and endless amounts of paragraphs that every NPC will want to tell you. I remember when I was playing the game, it took me like 20 minutes of just mashing the enter key and scrolling through all the NPC dialogue just to get to the actual gameplay. As someone that doesn't care about the story in MMOs, this was pretty unforgivable. And of course, this did not have any voice acting. It's just amazing how successful Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn is today, considering how much of a failure the original game was when it got released. Number 2 is Bless Online. Now, Bless Online is something that has recently been talked about and has had a lot of hype leading to the launch of this game. However, this game has received so much negative publicity as of recent, and even Steam have been issuing refunds to players and have removed it from their top sellers page. So what was the problem with this game? One of the biggest problems with Bless Online was the performance of the game itself. People have been reporting on stuttering and lag in-game while they were running it on a high-end PC. The game for many players also frequently crashed. The playing experience was significantly damaged by these issues. In today's gaming culture, it really is only acceptable for a PC game to have a 60 FPS. However, this game struggled to play on 30 FPS on really high-end machines. Aside from the performance issues, it also had really laggy combat and attack animations that will stick you in place with enemies that require fast reactions from you to avoid. Yet the gameplay is not conducive to having fast reactions. Most of your abilities will lock you in place. The combat just becomes incredibly frustrating. In addition to this, many features were not included in the Western release of Bless Online. The economy also took a huge hit. There were item duplication glitches that destroyed the game's economy. In conclusion, Bless Online was so sought after by the gaming populace that it fell so short compared to what people had expected. Number 3 is Age of Conan. Age of Conan is quite a unique MMO considering how mature the content of that game was and how gritty the world environment was when compared to other MMOs such as World of Warcraft. Age of Conan makes that game look like a cartoon. Many people were initially excited by how the game stood out from other MMOs in the genre. It sadly failed to meet its expectations. You see, Age of Conan got released way too early because the game developers wanted to cash in before Warhammer Online gets released. So they released a really unfinished product. The game had so many problems and bugs and glitches that just plagued the gaming experience. In addition, the game developers really didn't put much time into actually balancing the classes in the game, and some classes were just absolutely superior to the other class. In PvP and PvE, there were only a few classes that absolutely dominated their role, and there was not much in between. Age of Conan had such promise, and I did enjoy playing the game at launch, but it just had so many issues that stained the experience of this promising MMO. Number 4 is RuneScape 3. Now, for many people, RuneScape was their first ever MMO and was one of the first ever MMOs that actually got popular, and this was in a period before World of Warcraft, and the game RuneScape has really fallen from grace compared to the numbers it used to get. Now, RuneScape has some interesting features which makes it stand out from other MMOs. RuneScape's biggest claim to fame is that it could be played on the browser. Now, for many people, when we were kids, we really didn't have good PCs and we could pretty much only play RuneScape as an MMO. As literally anyone could play this game, it really did become quite successful very quickly. Like any other MMO, it has seen a really long, detailed list of changes and patches made to the game. The most controversial patch of RuneScape is RuneScape 3. You see, RuneScape 3 basically changed the entire gameplay of the original RuneScape and basically tried to copy the hotkey combat of World of Warcraft instead of the slow and grinding gameplay of RuneScape original. The player base's reaction to RuneScape 3 was overwhelmingly negative, and the gameplay and game world that most players really did enjoy and liked RuneScape for being unique in that way got completely changed and became a second-rate version of World of Warcraft, which is not what the RuneScape player base wanted. If they wanted to play World of Warcraft, they would have played World of Warcraft. Jagex, the developers of this game, realized this was a huge problem, and they released classic servers for RuneScape, named Old School RuneScape. And sure enough, Old School RuneScape is way more successful than the actual main version of RuneScape today. In fact, Old School RuneScape usually gets about 30,000 online players at any given time, whereas the main version of the game only gets 20,000 online players. When the alternative version of your game is more successful than the actual main game, you know that game is pretty dead. Last but not least is Final Fantasy XI Online. Now, Final Fantasy Online definitely holds its place in the Hall of Fame of MMOs. It was one of those MMOs that got released before World of Warcraft, and it really was quite successful. In fact, it actually had an online player base of 200 to 300,000 online players at any given time. And for the early 2000s, this was really good. Final Fantasy Online actually had some very interesting features when we look back at it today. Final Fantasy Online was not separated by region. In fact, every region could play on any server they wanted. So if you were from Japan, you could play with people in USA. If you were from USA, you could play with people in Europe. There really wasn't any region locking in the game, and every server had world play. It was also very innovative at the time, and you could actually play this game on PlayStation 2. It required quite a bit of setup, and you needed to basically buy a giant hard drive for the PS2, but you could play this game on PS2. And amazingly enough, you could play with other people on PC. So this was a cross-platform, cross-region MMO.
Awesome.
Pretty interesting. Although this was a successful MMO, it had very different gameplay mechanics to World of Warcraft. The unique gameplay was trying to mimic the turn-based strategy of other Final Fantasy games. As such, the combat was quite slow and static compared to other games such as World of Warcraft, but for some people, including myself, I actually kind of liked it. However, when World of Warcraft got released, the fast-paced action combat made people lose interest in the game. World of Warcraft was just so successful and popular, it took a lot of the player base of Final Fantasy Online and they migrated to WoW. Another thing worth mentioning is that the difficulty, even compared to classic World of Warcraft, was way higher. Final Fantasy Online had so many punishing game mechanics and challenges that just made the game significantly more of a challenge than even classic WoW. It was just a very challenging MMO. Things like leveling down when you die, traveling for half an hour to get to a leveling spot, not being allowed to solo level. When you die, you would return to a home point instead of respawning nearby. There was just so many mechanics in this game that made it incredibly difficult. In fact, Final Fantasy Online made classic WoW look like a cakewalk. It is true that World of Warcraft really did take the player base out of Final Fantasy Online. However, the final nail in the coffin was when Final Fantasy XIV got released. This game is simply a victim to time, and the outdated gameplay mechanics is something the modern player base just isn't interested in as it was back in the day. It is by no means as popular as it was in the early 2000s, however there is still a small community of players that really do enjoy this game. Well guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like down below and
But unless someone ups and does something, and soon, all we're gonna wake up to is the smell of rotten flesh.
You'll never feel alone again. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 MMORPGs. For this list, we limited ourselves to one game per series. We ranked the titles based on quality of play and replay value. Number 10, RuneScape. Guinness Book of World Records recognized this browser game as the world's largest free MMORPG, and it's easy to see why. Easy to access from any web browser and requiring very little processing power. Players travel through a massive world on foot, in ships, or via magical spells. There's no goal in the game, so it's up to players to decide their own fate. Number 9, Lineage 2. This title's predecessor was one of the largest MMORPGs when it was released, but the sequel managed to dwarf it. You'll love exploring the 3 massive kingdoms as one of 6 races. The intense siege warfare and in-depth leveling system ensure that you won't run out of things to do. And, best of all, the game recently went free to play if you're curious to check it out.
After Shadowbane, I think?
Number 8, Guild Wars 2.
Yeah,
Today, I plan to venture beyond the gates of the city and see the world for myself.
This title distinguished itself from other games in the genre at the time, including the original, by featuring a storyline which responded to players' actions.
My success positively impacts my crew, who then gratefully assist me.
Your goal is to reunite the adventuring guild, Destiny's Edge, to fight the undead Elder Dragons. The giant weapons and deadly spell effects make that feat more doable. Unlike the class-based play of normal MMORPGs, you'll act as multiple classes combined into one.
This is my story.
Number 7, Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. Square Enix brought the classic RPG series into the current generation of consoles with this title, and, well, it didn't always run as smooth. The original version of FF14 was so bad that Square Enix literally scrapped the game and started again. Rather glad they did though, because you'll love discovering the beautiful landscapes as you fight to save the world from the Garlean Empire. Number 6, Lord of the Rings Online.
The One Ring has revealed itself.
Middle-earth has been explored in different forms, but with the success of WoW, the one format everyone was surely waiting for was an MMO.
Fight!
Even if you weren't a fan of the series before the title, you'll love banding together with other citizens of Middle-earth to fight the evil Nazgul, orcs, and other enemies.
Gosh!
Of course, if you need a break from fighting, you can enjoy professions like weapons building and woodworking.
You must unite the free peoples of Eriador and inspire them to stand against
Is he
Sauron.
wearing pants?
Number 5, Dark Age of Camelot.
Enter Albion and discover the fabled lands of Arthur.
You can't let a little thing like a king dying get you bent out of shape. In this game, the death of King Arthur sets off a war between Albion, Hibernia, and Midgard.
In the years since the death of King Arthur, the fragile peace between these realms has been shattered.
You'll choose which realm you want to fight for, and your realm determines which of the game's many races you can play as. Amazing PvP and siege mechanics garnered the game enormous amounts of devoted fans.
Now you can join this epic struggle and lead your realm to victory.
Number 4, EverQuest.
But alas, ignorance and innocence go hand in hand.
Don't let the blocky graphics fool you. Ultima Online may have been one of the genre's biggest pioneers, but EverQuest was the first MMO to put you in a fully 3D world to explore.
As brave explorers journeyed forth in search of fertile lands on which to build.
Huge, complex, deep, and punishing, EverQuest was not for the casual player. But that didn't stop a legion of devoted subscribers from EverQuesting the heck out of all 20 expansions.
It is the land of EverQuest.
Number 3, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
You radiate power, Lord. I bow before you.
Whether you associate with the Jedi or you feel like you're more of a Sith type, this game's got what you need.
How did you learn that? The Force told me so.
Taking a page out of BioWare's Mass Effect series, the morality spectrum allows you to pursue your own goals in fully voiced conversations, a big deal in an MMO.
I know you brought the red stain skull, and I must say, I am pleased.
Aside from the usual open adventure, you can also take part in PvP dogfights in space.
Be strong, be merciless, and may the Force be with you.
Number 2, EVE Online.
I got hostiles inbound.
Here's a game that emphasizes massive in MMORPG. The 7,500 star systems made for a seemingly limitless galaxy filled with wormholes, asteroid belts, moons, and more.
Honor isn't about making the right choices. It's about dealing with the consequences.
Unlike other titles in the genre, EVE functions as a single universe instead of multiple realms, so you'll never run out of players to interact with.
Battleships on grid. Time's up. We gotta go.
Negative. Just hold them off. I'm almost...
Fun fact, in the city of Reykjavik, Iceland, there's now a monument dedicated to this game, with all the active players' names etched into the base.
There's been a change of plans, Vanguard.
Orbital strike launched.
Before we get to our number 1, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Number 1, World of Warcraft.
How do you not have Ultima Online, man?
I guess there was never any doubt. The most successful MMO of all time resulted from Blizzard applying their signature perfection over innovation style to the EverQuest model.
At least we don't sparkle.
By slowly introducing elements to new players and removing a lot of the more frustrating genre tropes, Warcraft hooked millions of subscribers and hasn't let go. And thanks in part to South Park, it allowed for machinima-style short films to receive mainstream recognition. Do you agree with our list?
It about to chew off more than it can bite.
What's your favorite world to get lost in? For more massive top 10s published daily, be sure to subscribe to
2019, what?
Albion Online features a unique classless system in which you are what you wear.
Legends,
You
get
can
out of here.
Today, we take a look at UO Ultima Online on the Atlantic server, and we take a look at its current state in 2019. Stay tuned. Ooh, welcome friends to a new video of Ultima Online. Hanging out today on the Atlantic Shard. Yes, Broadsword in all of their wonderful glory, and EA, I guess, has finally made the game free to play. So we are actually on our characters we played a while ago, and I've got some pop-ups straight away. Now, as you can see, we have ourselves the classic client, so this looks good. There's also the really bad enhanced client, which looks like this next part here. The enhanced client, which looks like this and is kind of garbagey. And then we're back to this again. So this is good. So obviously there's been some things that have happened since we were last on. We did a video similar to this about a year and a half ago in 2017, taking a look at the state of the servers and things like that. And we really just wanted to kind of get back in and see what's going on. So I guess I have some rewards for being 6 months. My stat cap has been increased. Very good. There's also the Town Crier events going on, which is very cool. Close this and don't open it again, people. So where are we? We are in New Haven. Map. I thought there was a way to bring up the actual big map, but maybe there's not. Oh shoot! Now what do I do?
Over there, buddy.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, that's a thing. But yeah. So what is that? Is it a freaking TARDIS? What? You cannot use this. Why? Open the door. Why? Open. I want to use it. Really what I want to do is find some people where the main area is. All right, let's go find. I believe we're in Britain. This looks very familiar to us. So let's get ourselves. Yeah, there's the jeweler. There's a tailor right here. If memory corrects, yes, it is. So here we go. Here's the main area. Here's Britain. Wow, there's tons of stuff here. And yes, as you can see, people, it is alive and well. It's going very, very well for people. If you're totally down with like all the new features of the game, it's very cool. There's a lot to do. I can't pick that up. Okay. I'm guessing the same bank stuff works. Whoa, this looks totally different. So there's obviously been some updates. This is totally not old school. Even though I'm on the old client, I've got a Manova wand of fireworks. Cool. The bag still looks the same, which is cool. It gives you a bunch of bulk actions that you can do, which is kind of neat, I guess. I kind of don't like this. I'm looking for the old school way. And this gives you like different pages. Ugh, I kind of like this, the old way, where you see all your stuff put in one area, and then, you know, like that. I honestly don't even remember skills. Okay, what kind of skills are we? Are we a bard? We're a bardie? No, I can't remember what we were. It's been so long since I've actually played on this server, so I don't really know. Magic. Are we a magical person? We're a magical person. We're doing magery and such. Okay, so we are some sort of mage, which was probably not an ideal thing now that I've played some UO in the past couple, I guess, in the past year. I've played a lot more UO than I've played in a long time. But the skill tree still looks the same. I'm guessing that this is all reagent free, Yeah, there it is. You can see lower reagent cost, and it's immune. So this is old school, or not old school. This is new school because, like, I can... What is that? Oh, is this my full spell book? Here it is. Okay, we don't need that spell book. We have this spell book. This is a good one. And you can click and drag these off like so. They do work. A water elemental. Can I fire that off? It probably can't because I'm in the bank area.
You're gonna die, dude.
That would
You're
be
gonna
mean,
die. Someone's gonna scream
right?
guards.
There's so much stuff. This is all crazy. There's so many different colors and whatnot. This is somebody's super skeletal dragon. That's kind of neat. Look at all these holiday event stuff and things. There's a box there. Holiday tree. Cool.
Right,
so obviously, trash can. Let's go take a look. Ooh, let's open this up. Okay, here we go. We'll leave this over here. I like the robe. Let's leave the robe on. Oh, listen to the music.
You look like
The music
a
sounds so
robe.
good.
Sounds so good.
I'm too fatigued to
Yeah,
move.
you're too heavy. Right here.
Oh, that's because I'm overweight. I'm so fat. I don't really even need to carry nightshade and stuff
you're a
because like
necromancer,
I
dude.
have a lower reagent. Grandma's rope. Guardsman's rope. Not sure what that is. Bone gloves. What's in here? That looks like important stuff. There's some more important stuff. I really honestly have no idea how I have this stuff. But obviously I've got some things. So that's kind of cool. But the game is obviously up and running. It's working. People are playing. It is active. As you can see, we're, being here. Oh, man, we're going to run into some problems.
Oh, shit, I want to take a quick little break. Be right back. Live stream.
Welcome to the top 20 worst games ever. I went to the depths of gaming hell and picked out the worst atrocities that this industry has ever seen. 20 games,